All right, believe it or not, we're finally done with all the boring stuff. Now we're actually going to learn about Git. First of all, let's talk about the git clone command. So the git clone command did three things for us, and for now we actually care only about two. The first one is it downloaded the repository. Well, duh. The second one is it associated with the remote repository on GitHub. So we can see it if we do git remote like this. It's called origin, and we're going to do remote. V stands for verbose, by the way. Okay. And the third thing that it did is it actually associated the local branch called main with the remote branch also called main. They don't need to be called the same, and we're going to talk about branches extensively in the next video. For now, think about branches as simply references. We don't really need to care about this right now, right this second, but we need to care about this towards the end of the video. So if you're going to ask the remote to give us even more verbose information, we're going to see that I was actually hoping that it would give us a bit more. Why not? I'm actually surprised that it doesn't give us more information. Usually it should say which branch is associated with which branch. Maybe it will pop up a bit later once we start committing more. But yeah, I'm really surprised. Another thing that I want to show you is that you can also rename origin. So if I go back out over here and I'm gonna do git clone again, git clone this thing over here, and I'm going to say over here, I'm not sure if I can do this in the end. If I can do -o, and I'm gonna call it birth or something. Oh yeah, hold on. I already have the directory. Okay, so okay, -o can rename the origin, right? So we can do birth, and over here we need to give it some other directory. All right. So now if we cd into the other directory and we're gonna do git remote, we're gonna see that it's called birth now, like this. Okay, and again for some reason VB doesn't really help. Third one, no? Yeah, I have no idea why. Okay, so let's remove the other directory and let's see what we have. So we have only the repo second. Let's go into repo second, and we're going to stay in there pretty much for the rest of the video. Okay, so everything that is left for to do is to actually contribute something to the repository. Okay, the workflow is pretty straightforward, but there are many steps involved. So the first a couple of steps that I'm going to show you are a bit precautionary. The first one is you always make sure that you fetch, right? So that your local copy looks the same one as your remote copy. The other one is you do git status, and you make sure that it looks like this, that you're on branch main and your branch is up to date with origin main, which is what I wanted to show you from the git branch -vv output. Maybe it doesn't show it for the first one. I'm sure that it should work. Nothing to commit, working tree, clean. Okay. Now, if you're not on the main branch, and again, I haven't explained branches properly, but we're going to talk about them in the next video. If you're not on that branch, simply do git checkout main like this. It says you're already on main. Also recently git received a command called switch. Same thing as checkout for branches. Git checkout, git switch. So as already mentioned, these are just the precaution steps. Okay, the actual work begins now. Now, usually when you're building a feature or you're fixing a bug, you will have some ticketing system like Jira, and your ticket is going to have a number. So a good name for a branch, and yes, you should create a branch, even though you don't know what branches are. You should create your own branch because you want to diverge from the main branch. A good name for a branch is, some feature name, and that includes the number. Always ask your team how they do things, and just do whatever they say. So what we're going to do is we're going to say git branch, and we're going to give it some name like my awesome feature or bug fix, and there's always some number, like 1337. Okay, like this. Now if you do git status, you're going to see that we're on branch main. If you do git branch, you're going to see all the branch listed, and you're going to see which branch you're currently on. We're going to talk about it in the next video, what it means to be on a branch. Okay, so we need to not forget to switch to that branch because you want to work on that branch. We already know how to do this. You can either do git checkout or git switch, or whatever you prefer. I'm going to do git switch my tab. There we go. All right, so now if I do git status, it's going to say that we're on branch, my awesome feature, nothing to commit. And if I do git branch, we're going to see that we're now over here and not on main, whatever that means. For now, it just means that we can work in peace and we don't care about what is happening on main. Now, this is a very common operation to create a branch and to also switch to that branch. So there is a shortcut built into Git. So you can do git checkout and then say, please create a branch, some branch like this. And you can also do git switch, C, also some other branch, and now if you do git branch, you're gonna see that we're on some other branch. We're gonna switch to my awesome branch, and we're going to also delete the other ones with a -d. Okay, delete some branch. You know, whatever this means, right? Whatever it means to delete branches, right? Sorry, git branch -d, some branch, and which ones do we also have? Some other branch. Okay, -d, some other branch. Okay, so we just created and deleted two branches. Okay, git branch. There we go. Main and my awesome feature or bug fix. Okay, so this is where we want it to be. Okay, now we're going to use Visual Studio Code for editing actual files. So I already have it installed, so I'm simply going to say code dot. Now it's going to say that it's installed some stuff. This is only because I'm using WSL. If you're on a regular system, you're simply gonna open it like you usually would. As already mentioned, all tools come with these days, like all software development tools, they come with some sort of Git integration or Git plugins or whatever. So once we start changing things over here, we're gonna see some Git information. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna say. So it says this is our second repository. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do 2nd, and as soon as I'm going to save the file, you're going to see over here this line over here that you can click on, and it's going to say, okay, this is one of one changes. These changes are also called patches, and it's going to become relevant a couple of videos from now. Okay, so as you can see, what a change is to Git. A change to a line is a removal of one line, which is red, and addition of another line, which is green. And then it showed you actually which part changed. Okay. But I'm being so explicit about this because over here you actually see that a file was modified. It's yellow and there's letter M, and the tooltip says modified. However, once we're going to go into the CLI and we're going to do git status, there will be nothing yellow. There will be only things that are red and green with the similar stuff. Okay, over here you can revert this particular change, or you can go to the next one. You can also stage the change, and we're going to talk about this extensively in the upcoming videos. Today, we're simply going to stage everything. We're going to talk about in a second what it means. But you can, for example, revert the change like this, and it simply reverted it. Okay, I can do Control Z, and now it's here. Okay, let's also go and create a new file. Let's call it, I don't know, hello Scala. Let's do some Scala code over here. Object main, extends app, I don't know, print line, hello world, like this. This is not a real Scala project. I'm just showing you a couple of things that if this is a new file, we see it in green and we see a U, and U means untracked. And because it is untracked, Git doesn't know what changed, and so you don't have any bars over here because like all the lines are added, you don't really see them. All right, now let's talk about this thing that every Git beginner hates. Git has a concept that is called the index, or the so-called staging area. It's usually explained in very complicated ways, but essentially what it allows you to do is it allows you to say, yes, I changed many things, but I don't want all the changes that I did to be the part of the next recorded history event, right? Which is called commit, by the way, right? So basically we change a bunch of things, but we could say, I only want to save these changes, but not these changes. And then these changes, maybe I'll throw them out later, or maybe they'll become part of the next commit. Doesn't really matter. Okay, now as a beginner, you shouldn't worry about any of these things. And in fact, I'm going to do this like that. I'm going to position it over there. I'm going to take the terminal like this, position it on the left. Okay. So if we're going to do git status over here, we're going to see a bunch of output, and we're going to read through this output a couple of videos from now. But for now, we see that there's some stuff going on, and it says these are the changes that are not staged for commit. And now you can stage changes by saying git add. You can stage individual changes, which are called patches. You can stage entire files, or you can just stage everything. So over here, for example, you could stage the hello file and the readme file. Okay, you could also just say stage everything. And as a beginner, this is what you will want to do. Just stage everything and don't worry about it. We're gonna take it apart completely a couple of videos from now, but for now, just add everything. And now, if we do git status, everything is going to be green. And notice over here, like when you hover, it says readme md modified, and over here it says hello Scala untracked. As soon as VS Code receives focus, it will refresh and will ask Git if something changed, and these two will say something else. Look, I'm pressing. Now it says over here index modified, not just modified, it says index modified. It means that it's already staged. And over here, now all of a sudden it's added to index. Okay? We're going to talk about exactly what this means a couple of videos from now. For now, don't really worry about it. Just change whatever you want, add files, remove files, add all of them, and then you're ready to commit. All right, let me go into full screen over here. All right, now a commit message is this, the recorded history event that we have all been talking about all the time. And the commits, they require a bit of extra information. They require a bit of information about you. So if we're gonna go right now and we're gonna say git commit, then it's going to tell you, please tell us who you are. Now, Git has a configuration, and we're going to talk about configuration a bit later, but essentially there's a .git config file in your home directory, and you can either edit it manually, which you should not do, or you can use the built-in config command that will do it for you. Again, we're going to talk about configuration a bit later. Essentially, you can have like, global configuration, that will, these settings will apply to all of your repositories, which is something like your name, and then you might want to have some settings only for some specific repositories, and then you would just leave out this global thing. Okay, so all we need to do is we need to say git config global user.email, and it's going to be vlad@devinsideyou.com. Oh, by the way, before I press enter, let me actually show you this over here. If I go into commits, we're going to see that I committed it, right? So it says agile steel, blah, blah, it knows me by my email. Because over here I'm using a different email, I'm going to be displayed slightly different, okay? In any case, there we go. Now let's do the same thing with user.name, and it's simply going to be, whoa, hold on. Come on, just remove this. Okay, my name is just going to be Vlad. Okay, like this. All right, so now if we do git commit, what will happen is that Git will start your default editor, and I don't want to have it right now. Right now I want to show you a flag that just allows you to specify the message like this. Okay, git commit message, and the commit messages are a very, very delicate topic, and we're going to talk about them later. But essentially, talk to your team and ask them how they run things. Okay, usually it would include some sort of number, something like feature 1337 or something, and then you would say something like I edit stuff, or the format could be adds stuff, or the format could be add stuff. Some people want a dot in the end, some people want to start with a capital letter. The official Git documentation actually says change this and that, whatever you changed. Okay. I'm actually used to something like changes, this and that. Okay. In any case, let's try to stick. Now, actually, let's do this because I'm sure that I'll stick to my own ways accidentally, and then you'll be confused. So we're gonna stay to this kind. Okay. So there we go. So now all of these changes are committed, which means that if we do git status, it's going to say that we're on a branch, my awesome feature branch, nothing to commit, nothing tree, blah, blah, blah. And over here in VS Code, once it receives focus, everything disappears, right? So all of these bars, everything disappeared. Let me also show you git branch, right? So git branch -v. And as you can see, so now there is more information. Okay, now there's more information, and now it should actually, yes, so this is what I was hoping for before, that it would show me that there is a main branch, and it tracks a remote branch called origin/main. Okay, we're going to talk about this a bit later, what it means, to track branches and stuff. You can also run the git log that will show us a log, and we're going to talk about the log a bit later. We're going to talk about all of these things that you see over here. For now, we're just going to see like the initial commit that GitHub created for us. As you can see, the email is different, and this is the one that we just created was this email address. Okay, we're going to talk about this whole thing later, about this and why there are different colors and all of these things. All right. For now, let me just press Control L. We can also do git show, which will show us what changed in the last commit, and we can actually show a different commit as well. So if we do git log and we grab this one, for example, I'm going to copy it, and we can do git show initial commit, and it's going to say, okay, in the initial commit, the git ignore file was added and the license was added. This is a git diff, and we're going to learn how to read diffs in the upcoming videos. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is a bit of a tutorial. So let me also show you the git config. So this is what it has for now: user, email, and name Vlad. We're actually going to go and install a different tool called BAT, B-A-T. So I'm going to do the same trick as before. I'm going to do install devinsideyou/BAT. Okay, I'm just going to grab it. If you don't trust my scripts, just click on them and see what they're doing. right? So you can just open them and see how it installs them, right? So just gonna grab this, press enter, enter my password, and there we go. Bat is now installed. So before we did cat, and now we're gonna do the same thing with bat, and it's going to look more awesome. By the way, bat is also one of those tools that is Git aware. In fact, let's actually go and change a bit more. So let's go and change this back to second, for example. Okay, like this. And if we do bat and show us this file, which is the README file, is that what? It is the README. There we go. Then it will say, okay, here, look, there's something changed in this line. As I already mentioned, like all the tools are there, like all the software development tools there, they all have some sort of Git integration. Okay. Now let's actually create another commit. Let's add everything again. Let's commit, and this time let's actually use our editor. Let me actually do this, and let me actually do git commit. Now by default it uses nano, and I've never used nano in my life, so I'm going to close it right away. And I'm going to say git config global, and I'm going to do core.editor, and for you guys I'm going to do code new window wait, like this. Okay, so now if I go and look into my git config, you're going to see that the editor is now this code new window wait. Okay, which means that if we do git commit, then it is going to create a new instance of Visual Studio Code, and it's going to look like this. I'm going to actually do this, and it shows us this. Please enter the commit message for your changes over here. Line starting with the pound, this one will be ignored, and an empty message aborts the commit. You're on this branch. Please always double check on which branch you're on. Changes to be committed. You only modified this one file. Okay, now you can either throw everything out. Okay, so first of all, if you want to abandon the commit, then add an empty message. So let's just close Visual Studio Code, aborting commit due to an empty commit message. Let's go and do it again. So it started VS Code. There we go. All right. Now you can just remove everything and start typing something, or you can just start typing something. Now, for some reason, the git commit messages are limited to 50 lines. If you go beyond, they're going to be displayed weirdly. In fact, let me just keep pressing A. So as you can see, it started the VS Code window in such a way that it actually put the bar around 50. Once we go beyond it, the syntax highlighting is going to change. Look, did you see it? Right. So the way this works is that the first line is a so-called summary, right? This is a summary. And then you can have an empty line, and then over here you can actually have the commit message, and you can write whatever you want in here. So this is going to be some really, really long message, okay? Like this, okay? And it can go like multiple lines. This is going to be the second line, okay? Great. Dots, whatever, okay? Save the file, close Visual Studio Code, and now we created this commit. We can see git log, and we can also see it over here. Summary, this is going to be some really, really long message. Okay, now I don't like to use VS Code for such small things, so I'm going to go and say that my editor is simply going to be Vim. Okay, and let's go and change some files. Let's go and let's just add some new line. Okay, like this. So now it's green over here, modified. Great. Okay, so add everything as before, and now we're gonna do git commit, and now it's going to launch Vim. Same deal. Let's do this. There we go. Syntax highlighting changes. All right, escape, delete the entire line. Let's do this. Okay, so this is going to be the summary, and this is going to be a very, very long message. And the cool thing about it is I did not press enter. This is the cool thing about it. Okay, so if we actually go and do set number, we're going to see that this is actually a hard break. Okay, so Vim did this for me. The cool thing about it is that when Vim will break lines for me around line 50, and it is going to be a hard break. All right, now nobody starts sentences with and. In any case, let's get out of here, and there we go. Okay, so as already mentioned, I highly recommend you, like, if you want to learn Vim, this is a very, very good way to start, because only occasionally you will jump into Vim, pretty much only for commit messages and for rebasing. We're going to talk about rebasing a couple of videos from now. In fact, I'm going to do you and myself a favor, and I'm going to recommend you a Vim distribution. So if you go to space vim .org, because Vim is a very um, minimalistic editor. It's just an editor. So if you start from scratch, you're going to end up spending years configuring. This distribution comes with was already a bunch of pre-configured stuff. So just go to Quick Start Guide, and you're going to click on Linux and Mac OS, and just copy this line over here. Okay, and I'm simply going to paste it over here. What happened? Hold on, what happened? Oh, -h is the help. I actually don't need that. When did they add that? I actually want this part, only this part. Right, so remove this. There we go. Okay, so now it actually installs Space Vim for us, and it's going to create an alias for Vim, so we don't even need to change anything. Okay, so while it does that, I'm actually going to go and I'm going to add another line, okay, like this, okay, and I'm going to do over here git add everything, and I'm going to do git commit, and now it's going to start this version of Vim. You know, it's going to be much prettier, and basic mode or dark powered mode. I don't know, this sounds cool, dark powered mode, whatever. All right, and I'm actually going to exit because I want to abort, because I want to go inside again, and I want to show you that sometimes, you know, it uses, I believe, Vimplug to manage the plugins. So sometimes you're going to start it and you're going to see this instead of this. This is exactly why I did it. Once it's done, you know, just read what the message over here is going to say. It's simply going to say press Q to exit or press R to retry if something went wrong. So if I press Q, then we're going to see exactly this. All right, so this is going to be our last summary for today, and this is going to be our last message for today. All right, so now we have all of our changes done, and if we do git branch, we're going to see that we're over here. Now we need to push this branch to a remote. So the way you do this is by saying git push. Okay, now usually you would need to specify git push, you know, to which remote repository you're going to push, because well, not theoretically, even practically in Git, you can have multiple remote branches. In practice, usually you will have only one, the one on GitHub, the one, you know, called origin. So when you have only one, you can just say git push. Now, the thing is that it's not going to allow us to push because usually when you push, you need to have some association with some branch on remote. So you need to first locally configure which branch you're going to track. So right now we're going to track a branch that doesn't even exist. We need to pass in the a flag to push called set upstream. Okay, so basically this will create a branch on the remote repository for us. And there is also a short version of this flag, which is just u, git push u. Okay, and we're going to say that we're going to push to origin, and we're going to call it. So we're gonna pick a name, and it can be a different name, but usually we just pick exactly the same name as over here. So I just press tab. Okay, now before I press enter, I actually want to go over here. To the very initial repository that we created in the first video, and now we should be able to understand all of these commands. Okay, so first what it did was it just you know, just created some information, just put it into a file called readme. These two greater than symbols, they simply mean to append something to a file instead of overwriting a file. Okay, then it initialized a repository. This is something that we haven't done yet. We're going to do this in the upcoming videos. Then it staged everything because readme was the only file. It made the first commit. It renamed the branch to main, and then it did this git remote add origin. We didn't have to do this because git clone does exactly this thing for us. This is exactly what it did. Git add origin remote, you know, it added a repository for us. Every time you clone, you get it for free. Okay, and look what it did then. It said git push -u origin main, and this is exactly what we're doing over here. Git push -u origin, and we're pushing this branch in our case. Okay, so let's press enter. There we go, and the branch is now pushed, and gives you some information, you know, create a pull request for this branch on GitHub, I visit and blah blah blah. And you know, it also shows you some information that you can also see over here as well. As you can see, these two local branches are being tracked by these two remote branches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the repository, which is this one. We're going to refresh it. We're going to go over here. We're going to see, first of all, we already seen that there's some new stuff, and it says, you know, compare and create a pull request. We're not going to use this one because this one is not going to pop up every time. So I'm going to go over here to two branches over here. I'm going to click on two branches, and I'm going to click on yours over here. And we're going to see our branch. This is the branch that we pushed. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and create a new pull request. Now, usually when you're dealing with your Git repositories, you don't need to deal with pull requests. and I haven't explained them to you just yet, but I will in just a second. So usually you can just merge branches together, and haven't explained branches to you yet either. But yeah, essentially you can merge things together. You have write permissions, all of that stuff. Um, in like real praxis applications, when you're working for somebody, you have access to something. Usually somebody always wants to at least review what you did so that you can get some feedback. And so the way this works is that you say, okay, I'm done with my changes, this is my branch, can you please pull from my branch? Can you look at it? And I can do some changes, I can push again, and then finally somebody is going to say, okay, it's all fine, we're going to merge it into the main branch. Okay, so we're going to create a new pull request. All right, like this, and I'm going to see my awesome feature or bug fix 1337, which comes from, I think it actually took these hyphens and removed them, which is why we see the summary. You can have some more information over here. This is marked down. You can do some preview. Okay, now it shows you all of your commits. It shows you all of your changes, which is just this, in the end, just these two changes. And notice that over here we went, back and forth with. So we started with second, then we changed it like in one of the commits, which is this one, we changed the second to 2ND, and then in the next one we changed it back to second. In the end, it just computes the difference between what was on the main branch and this one and yours. Okay, so it doesn't even show you this. By the way, this is how your commits look like, and because we use like these summary versions, we actually can hover over and we see the whole thing. We can also click on these three dots, and it's gonna look like this. And this is exactly what's going to happen if you just go beyond 50 lines. They're just gonna break them up somewhere in the middle. You're gonna have these three dots, and it's gonna look really, really weird. Okay. Also notice that this user is a different one because I used a different email, and it's not like this one. Okay, what else? You can also go on, let's actually create it first. Oh, by the way, this is a pull request from your branch to the base branch, which is, the main branch. Okay, and it also tells you that there are no merge conflicts, so you should be able to merge. So we're going to create this pull request. There we go. We can see that there are 4 commits, and somebody can go and look at them. So every time you go to commits, actually every time you go to file changes, um, files changed, then somebody else will be able to go over here and start reviewing your changes, leaving comments, approve them or something. We cannot approve right now because we're the same person. We cannot approve our own stuff. They can go over here and say, okay, in this line you did something wrong, and so on and so on. Okay. You can also go to commits, and you can see, step by step what happens. So for example, you can go over here. You're gonna see, okay, so this first we did this, and then we can see the next one. Then we went back, and then the next one, and we did this. Sometimes it's easier like this to understand all the changes. All right, now let's say that they say that something is wrong. I don't know, we did something wrong, so we need to go back and we need to do a couple of more changes. For example, let's add yet another line. Okay, and now we're still on that branch get status, which is we're still on that branch, so we're still going to add everything. We're going to commit. This time we're going to do -m, and we're going to say really, really last commit. Okay, and now we can just do git push without specifying origin, without setting upstream. This branch already exists. Okay, so now it's going to push it. We're going to go back over here. As you can see, there is some stuff going on, so you already noticed that there is a change. New changes since you last viewed. You can say view changes over here, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, eventually, let's go back to the conversation. So now it looks like this because it just reloaded. Eventually, everything is going to be fine, and then somebody is going to click on that button, merge pull request, okay? Or also some other things here, but we're going to learn about them in the future, okay? Somebody's going to click that merge pull request. You can change some stuff here, confirm merge. And what this does is it actually creates another commit, okay? So also it says you're all set. The branch was successfully merged and it was deleted. Actually, I'm not sure because I might have some Chrome plugin that deleted it for me. But in any case, you can also delete the branch over here because branches in Git, like most of the branches in Git, they're not long-lived. Okay, so if we go over here, we see that it's merged. If we go back to the repository, we're going to see. I went to the organization accidentally. We're going to see that there is only one branch now, and it's just called main over here. Okay, so now let's go back over here. and we're going to do this. And I'm going to show you something cool. Okay, so if you do git branch VV, okay, then we see this. But now if you fetch, right, because something changed over there, you know, if you fetch, okay, and now we do git branch VV, we're going to see that, I was hoping that would look different. In any case, what you usually do, you know, before you start, you know, working on another thing, you switch back to main. You switch back to main, okay? And you would, you know, after you fetch, you know, as you can see, your branch is behind origin main, blah, blah, blah. This is also what we see over here. Yeah, this is actually what I was hoping. I didn't notice. So again, like we did this, then we did fetch over here, we received the new information, and now we actually see that the main branch is actually behind, right? So what we have locally is not the most up-to-date information, okay? Because we fetched some stuff, okay? So now you switch to main, and you want to fix that, and what you would do is you would say git merge origin main, right? So you say whatever happened to origin, merge it to my local one. Usually you don't do it like this. Instead, you just do git pull, okay? Because it already knows that this local branch main is associated with the origin main. So you just do pull, and pull does two things for you. It does the fetch, and it also does the merge. Okay. Now recently Git change the way this second part works, right? So you can choose not to merge, but to do something else instead. And this is exactly what is happening over here. It tells us, whoa, I didn't know it would actually do this. Warning, pulling without specified diversion branches is discouraged. You can squash this. Okay, so it picked one of the strategies. Okay. I thought it would force us to pick one of the strategies. Okay, so it did a merge in this case. Okay, later we're going to learn that you know what rebasing is, and also what fast forward is, and then you'll be able to change it. I already know what I want, and I can do git config global, and we can do pull.rebase, and I want it to be true. Okay, which means that over here in git config it did this. Okay, and you can change it later. We're going to talk about what all of this is much later. You know, what branches are, what rebasing is, what merge conflicts are, how to resolve them, all the tooling and all of that stuff. For now, all we need to do is we need to go and look at git log. It shows the latest one at the top, and we can go down by pressing down or by pressing J. So as you can see, it started with the initial commit. Okay, then we see what happened actually on a different branch, which is also why you would usually include these things, something like a ticket number or something like a branch name. Well, maybe not a branch name, but something like a ticket number in your messages, because once it's going to get merged into main, your branch is going to be deleted, but you still want to maintain some history, like some context, right? So you kind of see, okay, these changes, they happened because of this ticket. They probably happened on some different branch, then they were merged in, and this is how they look like. Okay, so it looks like there was initial commit, then there was this one, then there was this one, then there was this one, and we're gonna go up, go up, go up, really last commit. Okay, but now we're gonna see one more, and this is the merge. Remember, this is the one that happened on GitHub. Okay, we don't have it anymore, but this is the one where we clicked on merge, and then we were allowed to enter some information. We didn't. I just clicked next, and so it created one extra commit that actually shows the merge. Now that we're all up to date, git status and git branch VV, we know that we actually don't need this branch. It was actually removed. Okay, I believe you can actually do git fetch. I believe it's prune. Okay, and it will remove. Yeah, so see, it removed this tracking. So if you do git branch VV, now you're going to see that. I thought it would look different. Hold on. Oh, over here. Here it says gone. Okay, so it says that this thing is actually gone. Okay, and at this point you know that you can actually just remove this branch. So you can say git branch d my awesome branch. You don't need it locally. Okay, so now if you do git branch, you're gonna see that there is only one branch, and there is only main git status like this. And you can also see log, and you can also specify pretty one line, and this is how it's gonna look like. All right, let's make it a little bit bigger. We're going to talk again, like in the next videos, like how exactly log works, how to search through the log, how to work with these hashes, what this means, and then so on and so on. Okay, and yeah, so now you're pretty much ready to repeat the entire cycle, right? You fetch first, you go to master, you create your own branch, you do your changes, you commit a couple of times, you push to upstream, you create a pull request, you get some feedback, you push a couple more times, then you push again, and then somebody merges it in, you update your master, you remove this other branch. It's a very, very straight process, but there are many, many steps involved, as I already told you. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this weirdly structured series, and I'm sorry for this video being very, very long. I actually was hoping for it to be like 20 minutes long, and I guess I was like really, really wrong. In any case, as always, it's been Vlad, devinsideyou.com. Don't forget to like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to improve the developer inside you, and if you learned something today, consider supporting me on GitHub sponsors or Patreon, whatever you prefer, and let's watch my videos weeks and sometimes even months before everyone else. And most importantly, take care.